A prominent men in our community passed away, Pawlak and Simpson. So if we can just have a moment of silence in there. No. Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. Call the meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. We'll start off item number 3, public comments. Is there any public comment? Is there any public comment? Please state your name and address for the record.
Ed Sharp, 7 Country Club Drive. I apologize for once again standing here, taking time speaking about this proposal to put a cell tower on the hill. Once again, I'm speaking about it because the more I hear about it, the more annoyed I am. I'm also annoyed because I'm getting the impression that this is a fait accompli, that many of you have decided and you're just jollying us along. You had a commissioner stand up, of a commission that voted only 3-2 to pass this, or to agree with this proposal. And he extensively quotes from the AT&T proposal, very biased proposal. Fire department, dead set against it. People are told you don't all need to stand up and speak, just let the chief speak. And then we hear not that many people are speaking against it. Then last week, the last meeting I attended, after I left, there was correspondence and more public comment at the end of the meeting. The correspondence was a letter supporting it, written on the letterhead of the first Selectman and signed by appointees and employees. You probably can understand why I'm suspicious of all this. At the end of that conference, that meeting, there was more public comment, and one of the gentlemen who signed it stated that we need it because people rely on their cell phones. And AT&T service up there wasn't that good. I can honestly tell you that my first cell phone did not work on the hill. I did not come and ask you to have Sprint build a tower. I got a contract with a company that was serviced on the hill. And finally, I'm going to tell you that I was away, drove to Florida, and I decided that I would look for these cell towers that people are speaking about. And I saw literally hundreds of them. They were on the interstate. They were in industrial parks. They were on farms. Not one was in a residential area. Apparently, they understand down there what we seem to be struggling with in this town, that you don't sell neighborhoods to corporations, not for $18,000, not for $36,000, not for any price. So I urge you to consider this being put in your backyard when you have to vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Is there any other public comment?
Thank you. Teresa Conroy, 177 Scotgrass Street. Kurt, I'd just like to thank you for having on your agenda tonight the Vivable Communities Advisory Committee. We had the forum back in January, and you stepped right up to the plate and said, you know, this would be good for the town. I've briefly talked to the Strategic Planning Committee to see how they, Livable Communities Task Force, that'll be coming up. Hopefully you'll be appointing tonight. Can be looking forward to making Seymour a better community. So thank you for all the hard work that you did on this.
Thanks. Is there any other public comment?
Good evening. My name's Tom Bennett, and I live at 4 Fairway Lane in Seymour. I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'm here again tonight to express my opposition to the construction of the proposed AT&T cell tower at the Great Hole Fire location, which is situated virtually in my backyard. I've yet to hear specifically how the income generated from this endeavor will be allocated, and I feel that we deserve to know where that money is going to be headed to. This project offers nothing to the people of these neighborhoods in this area. We already contribute close to the top tier in non-commercial property taxes, receive fewer returns for those taxes as we do not have access to city water or sewer in our neighborhoods. We also have an 8-year-old daughter that goes to school up there, and the school doesn't even have adequate parking. When I chose to invest in building my home in Seymour, I expected to pay a bit more in taxes, as the location that I chose was a desirable residential neighborhood. A tower of that nature does not belong in a residential neighborhood. It's bad enough that the economy has diminished the value of my home, and now I don't want the public officials to diminish the value of my home even more by putting a cell phone tower in the backyard. And last and not least, but by far the most important concern I have is, we may have information from studies conducted by the powerfully affluent lobbyists who advocate for the conglomerate of cell phone industries that there are no adverse health effects from these tower transmissions. But should time reveal that those studies were misleading or wrong, and that a single child from this neighborhood would suffer a devastating illness for a mere $18,000 a year, that's less than 2 residents of the neighborhood pay annually in taxes there. And I just ask, would anybody erect a tower of this type in your backyard? So please don't erect it in mine. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Is there any other public comment?
Hi, Bill McKiernan, 2 Country Club Drive. I just wanted to, I missed the last meeting where the town executives gave in the letter stating how they were in support of the tower. Or else I would have spoke that night at the end for public comments. I just want to go over that letter with you and just make sure I'm clear on it. In the letter it says, "We believe this project serves the best interests of the town's public safety personnel, as well as its residents." I'm actually a part of the public safety employees, personnel. I can't figure out where the benefit is. I was kind of hoping one of the guys would be here tonight to come up and you know, tell me what they're talking about. The second thing on it says, "Further, the slight change from the existing structure that this project presents is a small price to pay for the revenue and improved communications." This one's really sticking to me because I know what we have on that tower now is not public safety communications. It's our 3rd backup. So our public safety communications are in 2 different locations in town. It's not at Great Hill. If that goes down, it goes to another service. If it goes down, then we're using Great Hill. To take the tower down, put up a cell tower, replace what's already existing there, that does not improve public safety communications. I think it's irresponsible that they wrote that. I think they're trying to lead the public to believe that with the new creation of this tower, it's going to improve public safety communications. I have not seen anything other from the town executive stating otherwise. So please take that into consideration, and I'm counting on you guys. This is my backyard. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Is there any other public comment?
Marcia Shuck, 7 Country Club Drive. I'm like a bad penny, I keep showing up. Today I stopped at the first Selectman's office to see if I can get a copy of the report that was supposed to be written in response to those 25 questions that were asked quite a while ago. I believe it was in early January. I was told that this report is still not available, and my question is why? The delay and the lack of this report leads me to believe that I've become very suspicious of the information in this report. I certainly would expect that this board and the public would certainly have a chance to look at that report if it's ever produced. I think this whole cell phone tower issue is about money. It's being shrouded as an emergency services issue, but I don't believe that at all. It's about the all-powerful dollar. And I would hate to think that you would throw the neighborhood and the neighbors under the bus or under the cell phone tower for any amount of money. Is this neighborhood being sacrificed so the town can assume ownership of a tower that can potentially cause more problems for the town? Liability issues, health issues, safety issues for all the volunteer firemen who are there quite often. I hope you take all these concerns into consideration before you vote on this tower. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shuck. Is there any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? That's one last time. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment. Item number 4, approve minutes from the February 4th, 2014 special meeting. Can I have a motion to do so? Motion by Anne Marie, second by Len. Is there any discussion? Karen? Yeah, I saw the pencil out.
Okay. First correction at the top, under others present, Marcia is spelled M-A-R-S-H-A. Full disclosure, Marcia and I graduated from high school together. Only she was
In
close.
1975.
85.
That's not quite right. It's also misspelled under item number 3 in public comment. As I read Mike Kearney's remarks in the first paragraph under item 3, I thought that the last sentence was a little bit lacking in detail. I know Mike mentioned that he was working with Stanley Jakimowski on getting stones for the park, but I think it should be French Memorial Park and additional stones for, do you see where I am?
Yep.
Okay. For, I believe he said Korea and Vietnam?
Korean Vietnam for, yes,
Yes.
for Veterans Grove.
Okay.
That's if we can find the matching stuff.
Right. I think that's it.
Well, at least we were consistent on the Marcia part, right?
Pretty much.
Is there any other corrections? Lee, any others? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, first Selectmen's report. I tried to keep it quick because we haven't met in a month, but I attended the National Conference of Regions in early February in Washington, D.C., representing the town of Seymour and the Valley Council of Governments, which I sit as chair. I found the meetings and events to be very worthwhile and educational. While there, I had a chance to meet with Congresswoman DeLora and Senators Blumenthal and Murphy. During those meetings, I stressed the need for additional rail service through the Waterbury corridor. Attended a meeting of all the communities of the 3rd Congressional District, hosted by Congresswoman DeLora, to discuss what is going on in Washington for the upcoming spring session. Attended the 2014 Cost Annual Meeting and Expo. Met with Fred Masori, Mark Nielsen of VCOG, and representatives from Milo and McBroom to continue discussions on the Greenway Trail for Seymour. We are working on a next steps plan and a potential timeline for construction. Excuse me. Met with representatives from HR Consulting about the potential of a new time clock system for Town Hall. We are currently in the process of reviewing its capabilities and benefits. Took part in a panel discussion for junior achievement with Fred Masori and Christine Syriac. The event was held at Basement Systems. While there, we were able to see the new Boomtown office area that was recently installed. If any of you have never seen the inside of Basement Systems, it's quite impressive. They're certainly open to allowing anyone to go up and take a look. So if you have a few free minutes and you want to see something pretty cool, I recommend you go up and take a walk around. Met with representatives from Winters Brothers to look at ways to reduce costs to our recycling program. The meeting went very well, and I expect to have some savings to report to the Board of Finance in the coming weeks. The employee annual review process is finishing up this week. The last few reviews with department heads will be completed by Friday. The process went very well, and each employee this year was given something new, which is 4 target goals to work on during 2014, and they'll be held accountable to those targeted goals. I'll be presenting my budget to the Board of Finance tomorrow night. During that review, I'll be discussing with them the overall financial position of the town, including debt service, fund balance, long-range planning, and capital planning. Assuming all goes well, I'll be presenting the 2014-2015 capital plan to this board at our first meeting in April for approval and discussion. Or I should say discussion, then approval. Finally, union contract negotiations for the clerks, administrators, and Department of Public Works is still ongoing. We are currently 8 months outside of contract. We'll be starting the police union contracts in the next few weeks. So with that, I'll close the first Selectmen's report. Next item on the agenda, item number 6. Discussion and take possible action on the 2014 Founders Day request. We have a letter dated February 4th, 2014. Dear Mr. Miller, Seymour will be experiencing its 5th Founders Day on June 1st, 2014, rain date June 8th, 2014, in celebration of its history and heritage. The event will be held from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and will encompass the entire downtown area. Main Street from Trestle Tavern to the Strand Theater, including Bank, First, Columbus, and part of the Forest Streets. They will be closed to vehicles and open to only pedestrian traffic. The street will be filled with vendors, amusements, and other forms of entertainment. We're anticipating the festival will attract not only local residents, but many visitors from other areas. Therefore, it is our hope that you will provide us the use of these parking lots on the above dates: the Seymour Community Field, Seymour Community Parking Lot, the Strand Theater, the parking area at 115 in Main Street, known as the Metro North Lot, but owned by the town, the Wakely Street lot across from the Citizens Engine Company, and the Town Hall lot for handicap parking. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to contact me, 203, say your number. Seymour Founders Day Association wishes to thank you in advance for the help and support. Please check one of the following boxes: sign and return. Signed, Judy Simpson. So, Judy's the president. I know Ms. Simpson's not here, but Mrs. Bellavance is here to discuss this. In the past, this request has been made made by the Founders Day Committee to the Board of Selectmen. We generally approve it, give them the opportunity to run the festival. The only concern that I have, Mrs. Bellavance, is the request for the use of the community center field. With the skate park there, I'm not sure if we want to have cars on that lot, or in that area.
On the grass.
Maybe you can speak to the grass part, I'm
On the
saying.
grass,
Yeah.
Is that reserved generally for vendors?
yes.
If we could get the parks to put a snow fence around the skate park, I wouldn't see why we shouldn't be able to do it around the area that, would be affected. I wouldn't think that, and that way the vendors won't even go near it. I mean, because they do have a snow fence or something, I believe, that they can put up in that area.
Okay.
If that was to be done by the park commission, I don't think there would be an issue.
Okay. Do you have any issue with that?
No, I don't. The vendors are usually parked by no later than 9:30, and then we could just not literally lock it, but close it, and not leave it open for public use.
Okay.
You know,
I don't think the kids come much earlier than that.
yeah. And then,
Yeah.
and then they would, and they're there all day, they can't leave.
Right.
And then they would all be getting there about 5 o'clock, 5:15, and, clearing out in a matter of 10 minutes, all the cars would be gone.
I think when it gets closer, maybe we'll sit down with Deputy Chief Sikowski, and we'll talk about an exit plan for the cars going out, so we maybe have an officer down there just to make sure a kid doesn't get hit coming in and out. But other than that, I see no issue with this whatsoever. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Are these the same requests they had last year? Like all the parking lots, nothing's changed?
I believe these are all the same. Yeah, nothing has changed. I mean, the only difference, the Wakely Street lot will not be as available as it has been in the past.
It wasn't last year either, I think they were just moving in.
Yeah, they just,
Like the week before, so we didn't lose that either.
So, unless by some miracle they're done by June 1st.
Okay, and can I just, I'm sorry, I should stand up. Can I ask one question, Paul, about the community center? Is the opening still on the other end? You still have that? Okay, so they can get in and out from the
Yeah,
far
Dennis
end?
has a key. If that's locked, Dennis has the key to.
Yes,
unlock that.
okay, so the cars can get in and out from that side. And all the parking lots are the same ones that we've requested in the past.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no other questions, at this point I'll entertain a motion to grant permission to the Seymour Founders Day to use the parking lots as requested in their letter dated February 4th, 2014.
So moved.
Motion by Paul, second by Nicole. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, item number 7, discussion and take possible action on the following proposed ordinances. We have 3 proposed ordinances. And before we start, Rich, it's okay that we go through them one ordinance at a time and approve each one individually?
Yes, you should do that.
Okay. Okay, so we will start with A, Friends of the Broad Street Park. We've had 2 public hearings on these. The ordinance committee has met several times. We kind of spanned 2 ordinances committees, so I'm glad Teresa's here. She was a former member with us. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, take that back. Rich, can you please just go through the mechanics for the board and for everybody in the room so they understand if these are approved tonight, what happens?
Well, let me just find the section of the charter.
Under the charter, there's a requirement that a public hearing be held. In this case, you held 2 public hearings. There's also a requirement that the ordinance be published, and that was also done. If this is passed tonight, it will take effect, I believe, I'm doing this from memory, I believe 21 days after passage, but just give me 1 second, let me make sure of that. Towards the front. I had it before. Yes, under 7.5, after the ordinance is passed, it shall be filed with the town clerk. All ordinances upon passage shall be published within 10 calendar days in their entirety in the newspaper, and every ordinance shall be effective on the date specified therein, or on the 21st calendar day after passage, which is what I have recalled. So that's the process going forward. You're free to vote on it tonight. And move these ordinances forward.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Rich before we start the process? Okay. First item, item A, Friends of the Broad Street Park Committee. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor of adding the Friends of the Broad Street Park Commission ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? And the chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Congratulations, members of the Friends of the Broad Street Park. Okay, item B, 10-year Strategic Planning Committee. Is there any questions or comments regarding this ordinance? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much, members of the Strategic Planning. Okay, and then item C, WPCA depreciation expense. I'll certainly ask for questions and comments from the board, but I'm going to ask that this ordinance come back before this board. I had some conversations with some people today. There are still some outstanding questions. I'd like to have an opportunity once again to get the chairman of the Board of Finance and the chairman of the WPCA together to have some discussions on this. So I certainly want to have some thoughts from the 6 of you, but I'd ask that we take this back, have further discussion on it, and then bring it back to the Ordinance Committee, and then have them recommend to bring it back to the Board of Selectmen.
Request the table tonight.
We have a motion to table.
Motion to postpone.
Motion to postpone to table.
Okay, so is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, no discussion on motion to postpone, correct? Okay. All right, with that, all in favor of postponing the Water Pollution Control Authority annual budget depreciation expense ordinance, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Item number 8, discussion to take action on the 2014 Small Cities Resolution. Okay, you should all have a resolution in your packet. I'll just quickly read. Whereas federal monies are available under the Connecticut Small Cities Community Development Block Grant Program administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Housing pursuant to Public Law 93-383 as amended, and whereas pursuant to Chapter 127C and Part 6 of Chapter 130 of the Connecticut General Statutes, the Commissioner of Housing is authorized to distribute such federal monies to local municipalities, and whereas it is desirable and in the public interest of the town of Seymour make application to the state in order to undertake a small cities community development program and to execute an assistance agreement, therefore, should be one afforded. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Selectmen of the town of Seymour that, one, that is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites of the state assistance imposed by Part 6 of Chapter 130 of the Connecticut General Statutes, and number 2, that the filing of an application by the town of Seymour in an amount not to exceed $400,000 is hereby approved, and that the first Selectman W. Kirk Miller is hereby authorized and directed to file such application with the Commissioner of the Department of Housing to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required by the Commissioner, to execute an assistance agreement with the State of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, recessions, and revisions, therefore to act as the authorized representative of the town of Seymour. Can I have a motion to accept the resolution as read? Sorry. Motion by Nicole, second by Al. Under discussion, D. Or Lisa, is there anything you'd like to add?
It's a great program. We're going to do housing rehabilitation in this round, and that will afford the opportunity for 10 to 12 homes to be improved for low and moderate income Seymour citizens if the grant is awarded. So
we're already asking for letters of intent from residents. We've been posting it online and on the website and in the newspaper. And people are actually interested in the program. So if anybody's interested.
Yes, that's a great point, Deirdre, and just to say, please spread the word around. We have this program available, and part of the application process is to establish a waiting list. And so we're looking for people now to sign up and say, yeah, I think I might be able to take advantage of that program. It's a 0% interest, indefinitely deferred loan. So let's say you get $25,000 to do a septic repair, we would give you the money and you'd pay for it later at change of title to home.
Could you also explain too how this grant will go on? So as John Smith pays their $25,000 back, whereas in the past we've put these grants out, it was for one project and one project only. This will now allow us to continually reuse the money.
It eventuates in a revolving loan fund that can be used as community support in perpetuity, because as each change of title occurs and the money is repaid, all the money that's been loaned out over the years comes back to the town, and then it can circulate and assist other residents. So it's a wonderful program, and I really hope we get the award, and I really hope we get the support from the community in terms of establishing a waiting list.
Does anyone have any questions for either Lisa or Dee? Glenn?
Yeah, I just have one. With regard to what you just mentioned, the money comes back eventually. Do you have any idea what the life cycle is on that? What the turnaround time is, if there even is any information on that?
How long it takes for money to come back?
Yeah.
Well, very often we're serving the elderly, and the most common way to have the money restored is through the passing of the awardee.
Yeah, their probate.
In the town of New Fairfield, where I've been working for years on this, they first got a grant in 1991, and they usually get back between $50,000 and $100,000 a year, just for maybe 2 or 3 people pass away. So as sad as it is for that individual, it's then going to help others. But you're probably going to see, there'll be a break between when we close out the first grant and when you start to see those funds come in. But I will also say, in a neighboring community in Sonia, we've applied every year for the last 4 years and won the award every 4 years. So there's been an injection of funds with each year. There's a lot of need there.
Well, that's where I was kind of going with this. Obviously, you're trying to get the word out now that this is available.
Yes.
But if there's a break in between, say, there are 8 or 10 people that qualify for the program and receive benefits, and then we wait a few years, and then all of a sudden people suddenly forget about it, or we don't continue to advertise this, when it does come available again, we'll have to restart basically whatever advertising we've done in the past. So I was just trying to find out what the process is in other towns or what you're planning.
Every year anyway.
Yeah, we very often would advertise every year to
Okay.
let people know it's here.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda, item number 9, open proposals for the 2014 Small Cities Consultant. Rich, do I need to read the request for proposal into the record?
I don't believe you need to read it.
I'll just summarize then for the board and for everyone. We sent out a request for proposal for consultants to assist us with the Small Cities Community Development Program. All proposals had to be in, and there were some criteria. It had to be in by no later than 12 p.m. to my office on February 17th. This is the first time we're meeting since February 17th due to some snow cancellations. So at this point, we will open the sealed bids that we have. We have one bid. Okay, we have a request prepared to us by Lisa Lowe and Associates of Oxford, Connecticut. That is the only bid that we have received. So at this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to turn these proposals over to Town Council and to our grants manager, Dee Caruso, for a recommendation back to the Board of Selectmen. Motion by Karen, second by Len. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Mr. Paterno? Okay, item number 10. Discussion and take possible action on 2014 Seymour Fire Department and Seymour Ambulance Association tax abatements. As you know, each year, our volunteer members of our ambulance and fire association, fire department, I should say, excuse me, are eligible to qualify for tax abatements. We ask that the chiefs, each one, provide a list. And you can see we have the 3 lists: a list from Seymour Ambulance, a list from Great Hill Hose, and a list from Citizens Engine. There are specific qualifications that each member must meet, the amount of time served and things like that. It's a point system. The folks that you see on this list are all folks that have qualified for that. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion to accept the recommendation of the Chief of the Seymour Ambulance and the Chief of the Seymour Fire Department for the 2014 Seymour Fire Department and Seymour Ambulance Association Tax Abatement Program.
So moved.
Motion by Len, second by Nicole. Is there any discussion?
Yeah. What is the maximum abatement?
It's 1,000.
All right. On the Seymour ambulance ones, there's one person, and it adds up to 1,500.
Rich, do we have to, we can't exclude one person, can we? And come back to them? It's right on the first page.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine, I've not seen that.
The individuals listed 3 separate lines,
Yeah.
500 apiece.
Oh, now I'm seeing it.
I didn't see that one.
Well, I think it might be appropriate to act on the others and table that one until we can get some clarification.
So we can act on the firemen and table Seymour Ambulance?
Why can't we just,
Well, no, I think you could act on the other Seymour ambulance
With the exception of this one
abatements
person.
and just hold that one.
Or just take,
why can't we just
Yeah.
give that individual 1,000 and ignore the fact they submitted for 1,500?
yeah.
You could.
Just give the max allowed and be done with it.
For all we know, it could have been a typo, but I just
Well,
have to ask that
3 separate
question.
vehicles.
Oh,
It looks like 3
Yeah,
different
three
vehicle items.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what?
These are VIN
That's
numbers,
why I'm looking at that.
and then you have the vehicle registrations, so.
You want to make sure you have the right one, so to exclude. If you just take one randomly out, we don't know if that's the one.
What I'm saying is you could take it out after those still. You just give.
So do we have to rescind the motion and make a new motion?
You can do that.
You can ask the person who made the motion and the person who seconded it to withdraw their motion.
I'm willing to rescind my motion.
I will rescind my second.
All right, so then we'll make a new motion to accept the recommendation of the chief of Seymour Fire Department and the recommendation of the chief of the Seymour Ambulance, with the exception of the abatement request for Krista Goodman being $1,000 as opposed to $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. Are there any other questions? I apologize for missing that, because I even checked Scott Skellington to make sure, and you'll notice Scott is taking the abatement through Seymour Ambulance, but not through the Seymour Fire Department, even though he would qualify for both, so I apologize for missing that one. Okay, any other questions or comments? And I'll work that out with Chief Andrews. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0-1, and note Anne Marie's abstention, please. Item number 11, discussion, take possible action on First Selectmen's Livable Community Advisory Committee. As we heard during public comment back in January, Representative Conroy helped facilitate a Livable Communities event at the community center. It's actually very well attended. As you know, we've been going through some issues with downtown Seymour, making it more livable for people with disabilities and senior citizens and so on. So I thought it made sense for us to take the initial step to create an advisory board that can make recommendations to this board as to how we should proceed going forward. In the capital plan that I'll be presenting to you next month, I'm going to be recommending about $28,000 of infrastructure repairs to the downtown to improve mobility for people in wheelchairs and people with disability. So I'd like to put this advisory group together, again, to make recommendations to us. There are some people that are also going to consult this group. We have a resident who works for AARP, Representative Conroy, has said that she would assist. Fred Masori, from Economic Development Director, he will also assist as well. Jim Galligan, our town engineer, has also offered his assistance as well. So what I'd like to do is I would like to appoint the following people that we have listed on those sheets, or on the sheet, to form the initial members of the committee. Excuse me. Rich, can I just read down the list of names?
Yes.
Because there is one name missing, which we'll add. But okay, so the people I would like to appoint at this time are Lucy McConnellag, Jerry Eckert, Sandra Gessick, Betty Musto, Suzanne Riley, Karen Baker, Joe Luciano, Bonnie Wilkes, and Len Green, Jr. Okay, can I have a motion to appoint those people as presented? Motion by Nicole, second by Al. Is there any discussion, comments, or questions? This group's first meeting will be on March 13th at 7 p.m. in Assembly Hall right next door. Rory has reached out to all of them to confirm their availability. At that point, I will go over and give them their charge. They'll appoint their own officers, and at that point, they will take over. I'm going to ask them, as their first course of business, to assist us in the money that we're putting in the capital program to get the downtown curb cuts and things approved. We'll put them in charge of that, and then ask them to start looking at our parks and other facilities to make sure that we are doing all the things that we need to do to be ADA compliant and so on. So, Teresa, is there anything else you wanted to add? I'll exclude you.
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Having this livable community is also, the state's done some work on trying to find money to help out towns locally. So I think by you taking this initiative, we'll be one of the first towns out there taking advantage of this, so thank you.
If no one has any other questions or comments, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained?
Abstain.
The chair votes aye. Motion passes 6-0-1, and please note Len's abstention. Thank you very much, everyone.
What time is that meeting?
7 o'clock. Item number 12, update on employee performance measurement initiative. As you know, we had started this discussion back in January. We had asked that Len work with Public Works and report back to us in the beginning of March. So with that, Len, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had a number of discussions over the last couple of meetings in the Department of Public Works, or Board of Public Works, I should say. And Dennis has actually come through with the first round, if you will, of foundational information. He's actually, since the beginning of the year, he's been inputting information which related to their pothole repair and bulk trash pickup, or bulk waste pickup, I should say. He's compiled a good amount of foundational data that we can start to use down the road with regard to the evaluation of what we do and how we do it. It's quite detailed. There are certain kinks, if you will, in the work order management program, the actual software that they're using. However, none of which seems to be preventing him from actually using the software as of this time. Any kind of kinks that have been brought forward will be worked with by the developer of the software over the coming months to try to work that out and try to make things run as smoothly as possible. But the good news is, the fact of the matter is that they're gathering data. They're going to be using that moving forward with regard to how they make decisions. Just to give you an example, Dennis had indicated that in the past, the amount of tonnage that they use with regard to cold patch or hot patch, whatever you want to use, it was almost an estimate. Right now they have actual information that they can use. They're compiling actual data that they can use down the road, which is an important matter, as you can possibly, you could probably imagine. There's a great deal of information as to how much they're doing with regard to potholes this year. It's a pretty bad year for all of us with regard to that, but they're getting the information and they're going to have that available moving forward. So this is something that I think it's moving along nicely. I'm going to ask that at the next Board of Public Works meeting, which is next Monday, I'm going to ask for an additional update, and we're going to try to drill down into some of this information and work on it as a board to try to begin the analysis of the data itself. Dennis also indicated that moving forward as the spring progresses, there are going to be other programs that he's going to start to input into the system, so that foundational data is going to be built as well. So it's actually starting to build out the way we anticipated, or at least the way I envisioned it to build out. It's going to take some time. Again, this is going to be an ongoing process that is not a short-term situation. But I would like to address the fact that I've discussed with a member of the Strategic Planning Committee, which we just appointed, or I should say we just gave authority to, and the 10-year Strategic Planning Committee is interested in making this a part of the 10-year strategic plan, using this type of data analysis as part of our strategic analysis of how the town works. So this is something that is not just coming from me or coming from individuals on this board, but it's something that's garnering interest throughout the town. So I'm happy to report that, and I'm glad to answer any questions if I can.
Questions or comments, anyone? No? Yeah, I think this is making good use of the software that we purchased
Good job, Len.
last year, taking it a step further, and I think I agree with you, it'll fit nicely with our 10-year strategic plan, just help with the vision. Dennis or Sean, anything you'd like to add? No? Thank you very much. Len, when would you like to give the next update to the board?
I can try to give if there's anything substantial after our next meeting, which is next week. So I think, that's in 2 weeks. I can, if there's something to report, I can certainly report on it. If not, I'll just let you know ahead of time.
Okay. Okay, item number 13, discussion, take possible action on a proposed AT&T tower. All right, Rich is going to speak in a little bit, but I just want to go through, I tried to provide as much information as I could. Rory's been searching around for different things. I asked the assessor to just give us an estimate about the impact on assessed value to the houses up in this area. And again, this is assessed value, not sale value, so there's a little bit of a difference, but I wanted to provide that to you. Rory also found an article in the New York Times, pushback against cell towers. So I thought that was important that you had a chance to see that. There is a letter from Mr. and Mrs. Shook, dated February 7th, which you should all have in your packets as well. Mr. and Mrs. Shook, would you like me to read this into the record? Or, I'm just going to put it to the side for now. I'll do that in a minute. There's also an email from a Beverly Condor, which I forwarded to all of you as well for review. A letter from Michael Olette, if Mike is here. You have a copy of that. Mike didn't say if he wanted this read into the record or not. I think he wanted it for the Selectmen to see, but I'll reach out to Mike, and if he wants that read into the record, I'll read it at the next meeting. There is some information on existing coverages in the town. And then I also found a property tax treatment of cell towers, a summary, a state report, which I'm not sure if everybody has that. If not, I'll have Rory make copies of that. So I'm trying to find as much information as possible on both sides of the argument, so everyone could get an understanding of truly what we're up against, so everybody can feel comfortable. With that, I'm going to read the Shook's, Mr. and Mr. Shook's letter into the record, and then Rich, you can. Okay, it's dated February 7, 2014. Dear Mr. Miller and members of the Board of Selectmen, as we are unable to attend, and just to give you a little background, the Shooks were called and let me know. I had a long conversation with Mrs. Shook that she would not be able to make the meeting on the 18th, so I asked her to share her thoughts in a letter. Ultimately, that meeting was canceled due to the snow, but that's where this letter is coming from. As we are unable to attend the Selectmen's meeting on February 18, 2014, we are writing to again express our concerns over the proposed AT&T tower construction at the Great Hill Hose Company at 140 Botsford Road. As we have expressed at the last 3 Selectmen's meetings, we are very much opposed to this project for a number of reasons. We do not feel a cell tower of any sort should be constructed in the middle of a residential area. Homeowners of this area pay significant taxes to the town, and this proposal would decrease the value of our homes. We doubt that our home will be assessed less, but market value may certainly be affected if the cell tower is constructed. AT&T has proposed to turn over the tower to the town. In a letter from AT&T attorneys Cuddy and Fetter, dated January 17, 2014, and sent to Mr. Miller and the member of the Board of Selectmen, several sentences give us great concern. These are quotes from the letter. Like the existing tower, the proposed replacement would be owned by the town of Seymour, but would now be capable of hosting AT&T antennas, as well as additional antennas of commercial carriers, as well as those belonging to public agencies. Additional sentences state, as the tower will belong to the town of Seymour, it would remain in the town's control, and space in the tower would be available to the town, subject to any lease agreement for others on the tower that the town agrees to. The tower would remain in control of the town long-term, just as the existing tower would. Any revenue from additional tower tenants would go to the town. These sentences really worry us. This proposed tower can potentially be filled with equipment from other carriers, thus looking like the tower located by Molto Benny Restaurant on Wakely Avenue in Ansonia. It is an eyesore and certainly would have a negative look to the neighbors and neighborhood surrounding the firehouse property. The $18,000 annual rent from AT&T is insignificant, considering the loss of revenue Seymour could collect if AT&T had to pay property tax on the tower. We don't feel this is a very good deal for Seymour, but a great deal for AT&T. AT&T has expressed the need for a new facility to provide reliable wireless services to residents and visitors in that area. I'm sure there are other locations that could fulfill AT&T's needs. The firehouse property is an easy fix for AT&T, but at the expense of the neighbors and neighborhood. As we have stated at previous meetings, if the tower was proposed in your front or backyard, we are pretty confident you would be against it. We respectfully request you vote down this proposed tower and suggest AT&T find another location. Sincerely, Marcia Shook, 7 Country Club Drive, Seymour, Connecticut. Edward Shook, 7 Country Club Drive, Seymour. So I read that into the record. Okay, with that, Mr. Paterla.
Mr. First Selectman, ladies and gentlemen, we continue to be in active negotiations with AT&T, going back and forth with them on a variety of the issues, some of which have been raised by the public, some of which have been raised by the board and the administration. We are presently waiting for a substantive response. I was hopeful that I would have it before tonight, but I don't have it yet, so it makes sense to table this matter and carry it forward.
I've asked Rich to look into several issues that I think would need to be satisfied before the town would even consider moving forward on this. things that were not a part of the initial proposal from AT&T. As Rich has mentioned, we have yet to hear back from AT&T on that. Without those answers, I'm not prepared at all to move forward on it. So if this takes another month, I apologize to the residents to leave you hanging, but we cannot make a decision on something like this without having all the facts. And if we can't get the answers from AT&T, then we're going to need to make a decision based on not being able to get the information from them. But it's important that we have as much information as possible on both sides. Rich has a tremendous amount of experience in this area. He's negotiated many of these deals. So we have someone there that has experience, knows what makes sense and what doesn't. And until Rich feels 100% comfortable one way or another, I'm not going to bring it to this board for final vote until we have all that information. So, okay. Any questions either myself or Rich?
If, First Selectman, as Mrs. Shook mentioned, the 25 questions, we have not had answers to those.
The 25 questions are in the letter that was provided. It's just a matter of pulling them out. I apologize. I thought that was being done, but I'll have Roy do that in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, with the answers, yes, that's fine. I want to make sure that I read those over. Thank you.
And I apologize for that. I thought that was already taken care of. Any other questions for myself or Rich?
Move that we table?
Table or postpone?
Postpone.
Well, let me ask you this question. We don't want this to be on every agenda going forward until we're ready to take action, because it's not fair to these folks to come to every meeting. I tried to whisper to some of them on the way in. I mean, if they want to come to public comment, speak, and then leave, I don't want them to have to sit there.
Yes, if we're not planning on taking action on a given night, then I agree, it doesn't make sense to put it on an agenda and then have people show up.
So if we take no action right now.
And in fact, when it appears next on the agenda, because a variety of things could happen. One of them is that the terms and conditions may have changed in a material way, which would cause us to, you probably won't take action that night, you're going to want to digest it, and the public might too. So I wouldn't expect it to move forward the first time it's back on the agenda.
So what action would you recommend we take now? Just leave it, postpone it, table it? Well, I guess we should.
You can do any of those. I mean, you can postpone it if you care to. You can take it off the agenda. You can make a motion to strike it from the agenda for the time being, and we'll put it on when it comes back. Or you can make a motion to postpone it, or you can make a motion to table it.
If we postpone or table, we have to continue to put it on the agenda, correct?
You can postpone it to a certain time. I mean, if you want to postpone it to the second meeting in April.
Motion to strike it, we have all the facts.
Let's just strike it.
Straight.
Okay, then at this point, I'll entertain a motion to strike the AT&T proposal from the agenda.
So,
A motion by Nicole, second by Anne Marie. And then just under discussion, as soon as we have information that we deem satisfactory to bring back to the board, I'll bring that back at that time.
That makes sense.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, excuse me. Abstained. Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much, everyone. Item number 14, discussion, take possible action on soliciting quotes pursuant to section 2-268E1 of the Seymour Code for a plow truck. In your packets, you have an opinion letter that was requested by D. Caruso from Rich with regards to us purchasing a 3500 Tradesman regular cab 4x4 Dodge with plow and sander. Available this year through LOSA. You have the ability to purchase snowplow equipment. We have an older truck, a 4x4, that takes care of a lot of our smaller plowing needs. We thought this would be a good opportunity to use the LOSIP funds to purchase this without any impact to the residents in taxes. So, Rich, if you wouldn't mind, if you could explain your opinion to the board, please.
Yes, as you know, 268 requires competitive bidding. Dee advised me that if we went through the competitive bidding process, it won't be completed in time and we will have forfeited our ability to use those LOSIP funds. So was there a procedure almost every bidding ordinance does in fact include some sort of an exemption for a situation such as this. And in fact, your ordinance has just such an exception. 268E1 provides that if there's money available, then with 4 votes, you can utilize the exception set forth in the ordinance. And there needs to be a finding that the purchase of the truck is for a proper purpose, which I think is obvious, and the plow equipment as well, particularly given the wonderful weather we've had, that there's some degree of urgency, if you will, and that the use of the competitive bid requirements for the purchase of the plow truck would in fact impose a substantial hardship upon the town, or that a lower price can be obtained. It seems in this case that it would impose a substantial hardship upon the town in that you won't be able to use the grant monies for the purchase. Those are the facts as they've been recited to me, and it seems to fit that particular exception.
Dennis or Sean, is there anything you'd like to add about the need for the truck and the reasons why we're purchasing the type of truck that we are?
Well, as you mentioned before, one of the smaller trucks, we use smaller trucks, the 250s and 350s, fill out of the public service buildings and the small parking lots around the police station, firehouse, small parking lots at either end of town. One of the 250s, I believe it's in 98 or 99, it's had a cracked block for a couple of years, the engine block. The mechanics did the best they could at buttering up on some chemicals, JB Weld to be exact, and that's lasted. It's kind of milked it through, but now the training's failed on the truck also. It's motor's probably something good 6,000 by the time you're done for a 7.3 diesel. The training's another $2,000. The truck's exceeded its usefulness at this point. Because it's a grant money, it's a pretty good opportunity for us to take advantage of this. I solicited a couple bids already, a couple quotes. I'm going to try and get a few more this week. I think most of you are familiar with how I work. I'm not really, I'm pretty frugal on my expenses. I'm not going to spend any more money than we have to. This really does seem like a good economic decision for the town. Works into our 5-year capital. These are things that always get neglected on our 5-year plan because we always go for bigger equipment, loaders, backhoes, what have you. The pickups tend to kind of fall by the wayside, so this also takes care of that and kind of bolsters the fleet a little bit condition-wise. So, if there's any specific questions I can answer for you, I will.
In addition, this particular size vehicle is used every day of the year, so it's not something that would be specifically designed to do snow plowing. So it would be utilized actually almost every single day.
But its primary reason is
Its
snow
primary
plowing.
reason is for snow plowing.
That's the primary need of the truck. So at this point, and Rich, just correct me if I'm wrong, we're simply voting to solicit quotes. So at that point, we'll ask Sean to continue his process of getting quotes, which in turn will be brought back to this board to vote on specifically.
You can do that.
Simply because we haven't seen them yet, so I wouldn't want to ask the board to vote on something they haven't seen.
You could also motion to direct the Public Works Board to solicit quotes for the purchase of a 3,500 tradesman regular cab 4x4 Dodge with plow and sander pursuant to Section 2-268E1 of the Seymour Town Code.
Okay.
Mr. First Selectman, if I may question?
Absolutely.
Would going to the state bid list help this procedure?
Not this particular. We talked about that. We actually have, I am told by Dee, and I'll let, or Sean, I think you have a potential better price by soliciting a quote. Am I right about that, Sean? Yeah.
One thing that the truck we're looking for, one of the things we've been trying to do the last couple of years is uniform the fleet instead of having Chevy or Dodge, whatever. If you have all the same equipment, it makes maintenance dramatically easier. This particular truck doesn't fall on state bid for some reason. I don't know how it fell through the cracks. Ford is the only one that saw it up a week again, but the pricing we're getting on the quotes
twice I went.
Okay.
But they have that for a while, so.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, so at this point then, I'll entertain a motion to direct the Public Works Board to solicit quotes for the purchase of a 3500 Tradesman regular cab 4x4 Dodge with plow and sander pursuant to Section 2-268E1 of the Seymour Code for a new plow truck.
Second.
Motion by Karen, second by Len. Is there any discussion? Any questions? You good? You okay?
I believe they're only taking me to start those ordinances. If I'm correct, this physically has to be owned, paid for, and done by a certain point.
By June,
Yeah,
before June.
have to have the truck in our possession.
So we have to already pay in full, and then we'll get reimbursed in full. But it has to all be done before June.
And that's why you're invoking the exception to the
This
competitive
is why we
bid
need
ordinance.
to do it now.
So you guys will need to take action at your next meeting, which is next Tuesday.
Monday.
All right, no other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 15, discussion with the Recreation Director. Recreation Director will not be here tonight. He had an illness in the family, which I cleared, and asked him not to come tonight. I thought it was more important that he be home with his family. Item number 16, executive session. We have pending litigation, Seymour versus Vista Gorge LLC. So at this point,
Oh, Mr. First Selectman, not required.
not required?
No, we didn't hear back from Attorney Theodosia.
Did not, okay. All right, so at this point, we'll have no executive session. Item number 17, appointments. We have 4 appointments to make. First appointment, Robert Koskolowski, Planning and Zoning. It's an appointment. It's a 2-year term. It expires December 1st, 2016.
So,
Second.
Motion by Glenn, second by Nicole. Under discussion. All right, Karen?
On January 7th, we appointed Planning and Zoning alternate for 2 years, and now we're appointing him,
There's a vacancy.
so is he the alternate? Or does he hold 2 positions on that board?
No.
you have to replace the alternate.
He's resigned from the alternate position.
Okay.
Sorry, oh, sorry. You'll see that in correspondence, I apologize. You'll see the resignation of the person in the spot.
All right, thanks.
You want? Sorry about that. Bob? Sorry, Al. Senior, yes. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Steve Kulas, Conservation Committee to reappointment. It's a 2-year term. It expires 3/18/2016.
So moved.
Motion by Karen, second by Paul. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Kathleen Conroy Cass, Economic Development Commission. It's a reappointment. It's a 2-year term. Expires 3/19/2016.
So moved.
16.
Second.
Motion by Paul, second by Karen. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Josh Watson, Skate Park Committee. It's an appointment in the term to expire when the committee has completed its work.
So moved.
Motion by Len, second by Paul. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'm glad Josh has come on board. He's been to every meeting anyway, almost, and
Just turned
he's
18.
had a lot of input, so it's really good to have Josh as a regular member.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 18, tax refunds and abatements. Now, we have 2 that we have to go through. We have one dated February 12th, 2014, and one dated March 4th, 2014.
yep, I got it.
All right, Nicole? February 12th first.
February 12th, Board of Selectmen from tax collector, the following overpayments of tax payments in total of $680.72 need to be approved for refund in accordance with the provisions of Section 12-129 of the Connecticut General Statutes dated at Seymour, the 12th day of February 2014, Dana Flock, Tax Office.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the February 12th report as presented?
Second.
Motion by Anne Marie, second by Len. And just confirm they have no conflicts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Next item.
Date March 4th, to the Board of Selectmen from tax collector, the following overpayments of tax payments in total of $891.54 need to be approved for refund in accordance with the provisions of Section 12-129 of the Connecticut General Statutes dated at Seymour, the 27th day of February 2014, Dana Flock, Tax Office.
Okay, can I have a motion to accept the March 4th report as presented? Motion by Al.
Second.
Second by Anne Marie. Is there any discussion? Again, just confirm you have no conflicts. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The chair votes aye, motion passes 7-0. Item number 19, transfers. We have no transfers for this evening. Item number 20, correspondence. We have a good deal of correspondence. First one is a letter to the First Selectman's office and to the Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town Clerk. It is from Paul Thompson, notifying us of his resignation from the Planning and Zoning Commission effective immediately, and the letter was dated February 12th, 2014. We also have a letter, an additional letter from Paul Thompson, letting us know he's resigning from the Library Board of Directors. Again, that is dated February 12th, 2014. It's my understanding that Paul's gotten a job outside of the state of Connecticut. We also have a letter CC'd to myself, to my personal email address, but it is to the Chairman of the Board of Police Commissioners, is the resignation of John Popick from the Board of Police Commissioners. We have a letter to Tony Caserta, our Director of Operations. It is from Carol Ralston, our Library Director. She is announcing her retirement effective June 30th, 2014. We have a letter to myself from Mary Ann Magda, who is the Assistant Library Director. She's announcing her retirement on March 28th, 2014. So we will be replacing the librarian and the assistant librarian, both combined. I believe they have close to 40 years of experience with the town of Seymour, so they would certainly be difficult to replace. We received a letter as well from Dennis Rosen. Are these in the? Okay. A letter from Dennis Rosen, Director of Public Works, to myself, and this is more informative for us, so I'll be putting it on our next agenda. The Seymour Public Works Department is requesting that the Board of Selectmen authorize $4,800 in local investment program LoSiP money to purchase 40 tons of coal patch to repair potholes throughout the town. This regards Dennis Rosen. So we'll take this action at our next meeting, for Dennis to purchase coal patch. And then last, or not second to last, we have the check registers. And then the last piece, last summer, 2013, we instituted the discount prescription drug card. To date, through the first 7 months, residents of the town of Seymour have saved $19,778.94 on their prescriptions. So that program is definitely having a large impact on our residents and folks that need help with their prescriptions. So certainly a good thing that we've done. Okay, with that, that will close correspondence. Item number 21, public comment. Is there any additional public comment? Is there any additional public comment? Okay, hearing no public comment, we'll close the second public comment. At this point, we will start Selectmen's public comment. Item number 23. Karen?
I know we pay tribute to the memory of 2 dedicated residents who served in the town of Seymour in various capacities. Paul Pawlak, former first selectman, died February 23rd. Paul also served as second selectman for 8 years. Chairman of the Board of Education for 12 years and State House of Representatives for 12 years. He helped form the Valley Council of Governments and served as the first chairman. He was also the first chairman of the Lower Naugatuck Valley Health Department. While in the legislature, he worked on the state's Clean Water Act that mandates an end to industrial and residential pollution. I would like to respectfully suggest that we consider in the future naming the new fish bypass ladder and park after the Honorable Paul Pawlak. The second man I would like to honor is Howard Simpson, who passed away on February 26th. Howie served for many years on the Board of Police Commissioners as chairman and as a member, and on various other boards. He also coached in the George J. Hummel Little League. He was a Eucharistic minister at the Church of the Assumption in Ansonia. Howie was the kind of man who would drop everything to help someone, and he will be missed.
As most people may know, the flags in the town of Seymour did fly at half-staff for Mr. Pawlak Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, while the town was in mourning for him. So, Paul? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I apologize.
I spoke with Fred Masori at the end of last week, and I questioned him about the situation with Seymour Lumber. He said the developers who had expressed an interest in the property considered or was going to withdraw his offer and/or interest yesterday.
Yesterday, though I have not gotten formal confirmation from that developer, that is the way they are leaning. Rory and I took steps through Rich's assistance to call a meeting of the Board of Condemnation, am I saying that correctly? Which is myself, representative from Naugatuck Valley Health, the building inspector, planning and zoning, town engineer, town council, about taking proactive steps with the Seymour lumber site. That meeting is scheduled for next Monday, right? Next Monday at 3:30.
Can anybody go?
I don't know if that, is that open to the public?
If that board is formed by an ordinance, then that's a public forum. Yes. And you'd have to call the meeting.
Roy, can you put the agenda together about this?
Versus an informal working group of administrators within the town government.
Well, we'll let you know, but either way, I don't think we'd have a problem if we have a discussion and people could listen. I don't think we have anything to hide.
And can you give us an update on Old Preston School?
We will have something for this board to hopefully take action on at our next meeting, I would expect.
Well, we hope.
We hope.
We hope. I mean, it took a while to get some responses there. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the 5-yard line. I mean, there's 3 outstanding issues with the developer. One is insignificant. One, I think we'll have no issue with. The third issue, I think, is something we have to discuss, but I don't think it's a big issue. So.
Okay, and the last thing, and I keep bringing this up about the sign on Route 8. Can we contact the state to get the, it's a blue sign and it says exit 22, food, phone, gas, lodging, you know those signs? Mm-hmm. Can we get gas back on there since Henny Penny?
We are trying, but since Representative Conroy's here and I see her taking notes, we'll follow up with her office tomorrow and push that a little bit more, yes.
Okay, and last but not least, thanks for the pizza.
That was
He brought last time. Although I thought you did because you served it.
So,
which is pretty nice.
But you're very welcome. Anytime.
Because some of them, are, is there really going to be a savings? I don't know. That remains to be seen, obviously, in the budgets.
It's simple math. Reducing the position.
Okay, the other questions was, concerns, I would say, is that raises are given to people without additional duties being,
That's
and
also,
I don't know.
That's also a misconception.
Again, well, that's why I'm asking, because I don't know, and I want to get answers to those things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, first, it's the purview of the Board of Police Commissioners.
I understand that. We can't tell them what to do.
We're taking the responsibilities, the captain, the chief, the captain, and the lieutenant, and the detective sergeant. We're taking all of that work and breaking it up over a bigger group of people. So there will be certain...
Mr. First Selectman,
Yeah.
Selectman Roy, You're beginning to have a substantive discussion under Selectmen's comments
Okay.
on the items not on the agenda, so I think you were slipping into it. There's two old friends talking about something, but I don't think that's, if you want to get into a substantive discussion, we should add it to the agenda.
I have no issue with that if that's what the board would like. I'll answer every question. That's up to you guys.
Well, not for nothing. I mean, if people have questions, could we bring the police commissioners here to answer the questions? Would that be a?
I don't see why not.
Or-
Put it on the agenda and invite.
I don't see why not. That's not a problem.
I mean, yeah, sure. That might be the best way, it's rather than, who knows this or that about it, with can answer. Yeah, that's okay with me.
Oh, I'm fine. I don't mind
Yeah,
answering
that's-
other questions now either. That's,
Yeah.
or as many as I can answer.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing was, two things.
Hold on a second before can you make a note for the next meeting to invite members of the Board of Police Commissioners?
The sergeant shopping issue, that's a disciplinary thing, you know that. I mean, when your kids do that with you or your wife, I mean, that's kind of a, that's something that can be taken care of. You don't have to respond, because...
Well, let's make no mistake, my kids go directly to my wife, and she's the boss, so. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and I think that the last thing was that, how many, there's gonna be, what, 6 sergeants? There are 6 sergeants?
There's currently 6 sergeants, 1 is out on leave.
Yeah, no, okay, 6 sergeants, then you have, what are the next above sergeants?
I'm sorry?
Administrative. Next would be the detective sergeant, which is changing to...
In the old structure or the current structure?
Current, what it is gonna be.
What it would be, there would be 3 sergeants, 3 commanders, an inspector, a deputy chief, and a chief.
So that's 9. And how many people are on the police force?
There'll be 41.
41, that includes those folks?
That includes those folks.
So that's 1 supervisory position for less than 4 people, which is a pretty good ratio. I mean, you don't get that anyplace.
If you, and again, I don't want to get into a substantive
You're
discussion.
under Selectmen's comments, so just...
But remember, we've eliminated an
Well, that's a question I will
administrator.
ask them.
We've eliminated an administrator
Right, I
and put an
understand.
additional patrol officer on the street, so
Yeah.
if anything, we've improved that ratio.
Okay, I guess the last thing, I mean, obviously, they're trying to save overtime. That's always a big issue with the police department.
Mhm.
And I would suggest that somewhere along the line, they consider civilian dispatchers or light duty.
All that has been discussed, and again,
I know
without getting into,
those are union issues, I know that.
with the union and the Board of
But you
Police
said
Commissioners knows that.
Yeah, and you have negotiations coming up.
Correct.
So I think that those are some points that you might consider
Correct.
in negotiating.
I find it incredible that a police commissioner would not know that that was taking place, particularly when I told it to that board directly. So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, well, I didn't know,
People
so I'm asking.
Oh, yeah, no, fair
for
questions.
my
People
yeah.
remember what they want to remember.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good, thank you.
oh, no problem. No problem. So, Nicole?
All set.
Al?
I'd just like to mention that I learned today that a member of our community passed, Patty Cozy, so I'd like everybody to remember her in their thoughts tonight. She has a younger son that I know of, so that's, just learned about that before the meeting tonight, so that's all I have.
Thank you, Al. Anne Marie?
Just for the April meeting, have the quarterly reports from each department.
Yes. They'll be due the last Thursday in March. And our meeting is April 1st. Second by Nicole. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Chair votes aye. Motion passes 7-0. Close the meeting at 8:26.